Hold up. All right. We got another one. Hey, TGIF. It's Eric Noel, the real estate guy. I'm here with Ben Johnston, and welcome to the Sacramento Real Estate Show, where we share the good, the bad, the ugly of what's going on in the Sacramento real estate market right now. And once again, we want to appreciate you for joining us and thank you for all your comments from last week episode. And we invite you to like and share. Hey, Ben, what's going on?
Happy Friday, man. How are you doing? I'm doing great.
Man, yeah, yes, sir. I'm doing great, man. I'm excited about all the things that are coming. Trying to stay positive through it all, and yeah, just ready for the weekend, man. It's been a long week. What about yourself?
Yeah, same here. This week seemed to fly by. It's been busy. Um, but yeah, having a nice summer. It's coming to an end.
I know, man. Too quick. I'm seeing all these Facebook posts of people taking their kids back to school. Um, and all these backpacks, and I'm like, man, it just flew by. It was just like the first day of summer not too long ago is what it feels like 2 weeks ago. We just had 4th of July.
I know, right? Yeah, that's the truth. Um, yeah, we just been, keeping an eye on the market and, paying close attention to that with our heads down, working like we always do. And yeah, it just flies by.
You know what? That's exactly what it is. All right, man. No further ado. Let's get into it. So, I really want to invite you to share this show. We really want to get it out to people because we feel like it's very important, and we're really passionate about home buying and home selling and real estate, period, and lending,
Right.
because we know it's essential to a way of life, and also it's a way to build wealth, man, and leave something for your family, and also just create um, opportunities for people. So share, share, share. All right. So last week we were talking about first time home buyers buying properties, and also move up buyers buying investment properties as well.
Mhm.
And I just want to touch on that a little bit, because once again, like I said, this market is, we're getting in. We had a tough one, right? We had a great run, should I say? And now it's cooling off. But for everybody that was in that market, there were situations that um, wasn't working out so well. So finding properties, you put your offer in, you get outbid. It was a grind. Ben, how was lending during that time? And look, we're saying during that time, but we're actually talking about what, 2 to 3 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, the last couple of years have been kind of crazy. Earlier in this year, that kind of continued. And so there is opportunity right now. But for lending, I mean, it was just very, very crazy, right? Because you had really competitive situations. So, almost every home on the market had multiple offers. So, from a lending standpoint, one thing that we do is we actually take your application, get you a pre approval, and then we fully underwrite your loan, which is
Hmm.
good for us because when you're up against two, three, four, five other people on the same house, having your loan fully approved goes a long way. So we're seeing a little bit less of that, right? Less multiple offer situations. Um, but our process has kind of remained the same. It's just not quite as frantic, which is good. But there are still multiple offer situations out there where we have to come in really strong.
Exactly, man. And that's why you need a professional, man. You need someone who understands the market and someone who can give you those insights that you need. Because it's not just about, like we said, writing the offers, having the insights on what's going on in the market. And that's what we are here for. So if you need a
Yeah.
free consultation, please send us a text, DM, so that we could get that over for you. Also, another thing we talked about last week, or you touched on last week, was some of the first time home buyer programs.
Hmm.
Did you want to just recap those just for some that may have missed it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can kind of relate those programs to the market in the last year or two. So, unfortunately, when there's a multiple offer situation, somebody might be fully approved for a down payment assistance program. But then if there's another offer that doesn't have a down payment assistance program, sometimes the seller will opt to take that other offer, right? If somebody has 10, 20% down, they
Hmm.
kind of view that as a stronger offer. So now that things have cooled off a little bit, it's a really great opportunity for people that are pre approved on these programs or want to use these programs to get back in the game and have more success in getting their offers approved or accepted. I mean, some of the Cal HFA programs, we've helped people buy homes for less than what first and last month's rent would be on an apartment, right? I mean, people are
That's
coming
that's
out of pocket $2,000 to buy a house, maybe. In some cases, no money down out of pocket. So, some really great programs out there to get your foot in the door and get started in real estate and be able to own the place where you live. Um, and we had a client that um, they just had an offer accepted a couple weeks ago on a home, and the appraisal came in way over what they're buying the house for. So,
really
yeah, they're coming into a lot of equity. So we're seeing that more and more too. Sellers are still motivated to sell, but they're not going to get, $10,000 over their list price necessarily.
right, right. I mean, they really have to be priced right, and not have unrealistic expectations. And that's for everybody in this space, right? We want to prepare our buyers to be successful, and part of that is setting the proper expectations because we want them to know how to be competitive
Yep.
in this market. So, man, that's great, man. Thanks for sharing. So, like I said, I know we're not economists and we don't want to play an economist on Facebook, but
Yeah.
let's kind of get into the economy because it kind of talks about it's connected to what we do, right? Interest
Absolutely.
rates, inflation, all those buzzwords that are out right now. So, speaking about inflation, I was reading an article, and I took some quick notes, and it says that it slowed more than expected. Uh, and
Mhm.
so that's a good thing because I know it hit a all time high. So uh, the market reacted well. I mean, I see
Yeah.
some increases in the stock market.
Yeah. The stock market's having a really good rally the last few days. And that was due to some numbers that came out. So it looks like the inflation is cooling off. So from June to July, it was up. And remember the Fed that we've been talking about,
Yeah,
they hiked the Fed funds rate 0.75% for two meetings in a row. And the reason they do that is to kind of slow and cool the economy off so that inflation starts to come down. And the inflation, some of the numbers that came out from July or June to July, they weren't as high as expected. So, what the Fed's been doing, we believe it seems like it's working and the inflation's kind of cooling off, which is helpful for mortgage rates and things like that. So we'll keep we'll keep our eye on it. I mean, things can change at any point.
right.
The employment number that we talked about last week came in higher than expected. So things are kind of all over the place, man. We got to keep a close eye on it, but watching the market, that's something that you and I do each day, being in this trade. So, yeah, we keep a close eye on it to be able to advise clients on timing of rate locks and things like that. But yeah, remaining hopeful that rates continue to come down a little bit.
Okay, now speaking of rates and the Feds making moves on them, um, so do you think this is just in your humble opinion? Do you think this is a signal that they may stop increasing rates, or do you think they're kind of like, oh, it's working, let's continue to increase the rate? Which
I,
side
I
would
think
you kind of be on?
I think it's the second option. So I think that the two rate hikes have been effective. It's cooling off. There's still room for it to improve more.
Uh
So
huh.
they might not be as aggressive the next time when they hike rates, but I think they'll continue to hike it, maybe 0.5% instead of 0.75%. And hopefully again that continues to bring stuff down. There's some people that I follow that are thinking that rates, might drop all the way until the beginning of next year. So we'll keep
Oh,
an eye
okay.
on that. So I think it's a really unique time right now because, it's cooled off a little bit. So we're having more success getting people into homes, getting their offers accepted. And really, that's kind of like your worst case scenario. If you get a house and if you lock in right now, you're comfortable with that payment, that's what it's going to be. Now,
Yeah.
if rates do go down or they continue to go down, you might have an opportunity to refinance and get a lower payment later. So
Yeah.
it's still pretty decent time. And sellers are still selling homes, and I think it was 39% of homes that sold last month had multiple offers. So it was cooler than the previous report that we saw, but the market's still flowing. There's people buying and selling.
Oh yeah, I don't expect the MLS to disappear at no time soon. I mean, we still
Yeah.
do have an inventory issue overall, um, but just in I know that we're seeing an increase in inventory, and sellers trying are still in the market. And they're really uh, looking to take advantage before the things go crazy. Because, like we said, we
Yeah.
got to keep an eye on it. Here's what we do know: we know rents are not going down, right?
Yeah, not immediately. I mean, they're going to be in the range where they've been, which is like between 5.5%, somewhere in there. I think the average 30-year fixed is 5.3 today. And that's nationwide survey. That's not just our company. So, um, yeah, things are going to be there for a little bit. I mean, unless the inflation cools off even more, they could go down. But again, that's kind of anyone's guess.
Right. I mean, it's not, nothing's for certain, and that kind of
Yeah.
sucks right now because that's kind of I heard uh our guy Ryan Lundquist, shout out to Mr. Lundquist and uh, his blog. We appreciate it. All the good
Yeah.
news that he puts on there, all the information that he shares.
Yeah, it's great. Oh no, did I lose you? We might be having some technical difficulties.
Okay, technical difficulty. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, there we go.
Hey, we're back.
That's my fault, man. We're live, and we're dealing with technology, so
Yeah,
anything can happen, right?
that's how it goes.
And I'm out and about. So, uh, where was I at? I was talking about Ryan Lundquist, and one thing I was
Yeah.
watching him on uh, the other, I think it was last week. He said we're having an uncertainty salad, and we talked about how the market reacts to uncertainty. So
Hmm.
that's noted. But I was talking about rents because I noticed that rents uh, are not going down. And I actually read something where it says you need to be making about $39 an hour to afford a 2 bedroom apartment in California. That's about
Wow.
$40 an hour. Yeah, and on that's on an average. So that's taking northern and southern into consideration. Um, Also, get this. This is more to our region, San Francisco. You need to make
Hmm.
61.50 an hour. So I kind of did the math, and I don't like doing math in public. Um, so I believe that $39 an hour came up to about 81 a year.
Right.
And what let's you being a lender and you qualifying a lot of buyers right now. What's a scenario where a person could making that kind of money and spending it right now on rent? What do you think they could purchase?
Yeah. So I did a little bit of math, and we came up with like some general monthly expenses, right? So
Yes.
when we pre-approve someone, we look at the mortgage payment and then the monthly payments outside of that. So car payments, credit cards, things like that. So if your total monthly debts outside of rent, so car payment, credit cards, if those payments are about $750 a month, then you have the rest of your income to spend on the house, right?
Yes.
So I ran an FHA loan scenario, and that's going to put you that 81,000 a year. That's going to put you right around 450, 450,000 to be able to purchase a home. So
Okay.
you can
So
get a
we're talking
decent.
about. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh,
Continue. Sorry to cut you off.
yeah, I was just gonna say that that's a decent home, and especially if we're comparing it to I think you said 2 bedroom apartment. That's what you
Yes.
need in California on average. So, yeah, the opportunity for ownership is there.
Definitely, man. That what did we get anything on the San Francisco? The 60 what is it, 65.50 an hour?
Yeah, I mean that's gonna put you probably around
61.50,
600.
excuse me.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's probably gonna put you around 600 with the same monthly liabilities. So, 450 to 600, there's a lot of homes in our area in that price range. And like I said, there's real opportunity for ownership there. And remember, when you're renting, you're paying 100% interest, right? Because you
Right.
pay the rent and you never see that money again. Whereas on a mortgage, you're paying that down each month. So I actually looked at my own mortgage statement the other day, and every month when I make my mortgage payment, um, almost $900 a month goes to paying down my loan. So in my eyes, part of my monthly payment is basically I'm saving $900 a month because I'm paying down the loan, and eventually that loan will be paid off, right? So within your cost of living expense, a portion of that is going to savings, whereas rent,
Okay.
you're just paying the landlord and you never see it again. So that's one thing that I try to explain to people that they don't always think about, right? They're just looking at, well, maybe the mortgage payment's going to be a little bit more expensive than rent, but you're saving money also. And on that example of 450,000, not using down payment assistance, you could get into that house for $20,000 or less out of pocket.
Okay. And that's something you, if you have 401k or if you have a nice savings, potentially you
Mhm.
could tap into that.
You
Um,
can receive gift funds from a family member.
oh, okay. Yeah.
Um, 401k. We talk about that with clients. There's two ways to do that. You can take money out outright, or a lot of 401k plans will let you take a loan and then you just pay it back over time through payroll. So those are both good options.
Thank you, man. Thank you for sharing. And you know what we say in the business is like you're going to be paying somebody's mortgage, right? It
Hmm.
might as well be your own. Do you want to pay off your landlord's house or do you want to pay off your own house, right? And
Yeah.
that's a question you have to answer. If you know, and I think you know it. Let's be honest. We have people out there who are renting and possibly may be able to own. That's who we're talking to, right? Because
Hmm.
some situations you may not be able to purchase right now because for whatever reason. But if you took the time out to talk to a professional, you got he laid out a plan for you, and you're just not taking advantage of that, then you know shame on you because that's important. I mean, if you take the time, and I know it's fearful because it's kind of like getting financially undressed in front of someone. Then can you calm people's nerves about that? Kind of how it is when they come in looking to get pre-approved.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, our pre-approval process, we had somebody come through yesterday that needed to look at an FHA loan, and the application can be done in like 10 or 15 minutes. Um, you can do it on a cell phone. It's a user-friendly website, and so that piece is fairly simple. And then when we do the face-to-face consultation, I do look at the credit report, and we just look at that together, saying, okay, the score is great. Maybe the score is less than great. Whatever the conversation is, we
Hmm.
put a plan together about how to make it better. Or if it's good, it's good. But you really don't know that until you go through the steps, right? So, yes, I think people do have an artificial fear about that process,
Yeah.
but you don't know until you know. Um,
Right.
One thing I talk about a lot, if you're looking at your bank or Credit Karma, they're giving you a credit score, but they're using a different algorithm than a mortgage lender will.
Okay.
So, I've seen people that have a 700 score on Credit Karma, and maybe they had an old collection and it's really a 660. Or the other way around, Credit Karma is telling them it's low, and when we pull it, it's actually higher. So, yeah, it's a good exercise to go through. Some banks charge a fee for a pre-approval. We don't charge a fee for a pre-approval. So, at the bare minimum, you're going to get a personalized credit consultation that shows you what your scores are like and how to be better, or let you know that it's already in the box.
And it's interesting you bring up Credit Karma because Credit Karma
Yeah.
is like our Zillow, right? You get those.
Yeah, totally, man. You
Yeah,
have to
man, you
take it
get
with a
those.
grain of salt, but,
Yeah.
you know, again, people don't know. I look at this stuff all day, and I could talk about it all day, but, that's one of the reasons we're doing this show, right? Is just to inform people and let them know what's possible, and what to look out for too, the
Yeah,
bad
man,
and
and
the ugly.
right. And getting to your lender is important because they they've seen it all. They've counseled through it all, and I know Ben
Mhm.
is an expert in his field. So I I would say start there. First of all, choose your agent.
Yeah.
Eric Noel, the real estate guy. Then we'll get you over to a professional, Ben Johnston, who can walk you through the financials because that's the first step, right? Once you know
Mhm.
what you need to do, then it's or a roadmap. It's easier to get there, and we'll guide you through the process. And like I said, we've seen it all before. I'm not. I'm gonna be completely honest. When I bought my home recently, I was nervous too. That's just part of the process. Nervousness comes from the unknown, right? And you're anxious and excited all at the same time. So we're there to help you calm your fear. So that's a good note, man. I would say that's the good thing. That's the good for today,
Yeah.
right? Getting to see your lender so he can walk you through it and let you know where you're positioned at, so you could take advantage of the market right now, especially if you're paying, like we said, same amount that you could be paying for a mortgage on rent. It just, I mean,
Yeah.
It just makes sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of times it does. And, um, it's taking that first step. So, yeah, you and I being in mortgage and real estate, um, I'd say we're probably around a lot of like self development, because we have to work really hard on ourselves to have the discipline to do what we do in order to
Yes.
help our clients, right? And
Right.
so I think it's a cool opportunity. I mean, if you have that thought in your mind of owning a house and you don't know how you're going to get there and it seems unreachable, man, reach out to us because we have seen it all. We know exactly how to do it. We know the steps to take. We know the advice to give. I mean, I've worked with clients, honestly, for 4 years before. So
Right.
I had somebody that came to me in 2016 that didn't buy a house until the beginning of 2020. So it's not something that always happens overnight, nor should
Hmm.
it, because it's a large financial decision.
Yes.
But we have the tools and, like you said, the roadmap to get people there. So, and we're happy to help. I mean, it's so cool, working with especially first time homebuyers, seeing them get the keys to their first home, and that's seriously like a life changing event. I know it was for me.
Yeah, man. Me too, man. And also here's another good note to understand that it's when you go see Ben, it's never a no. It may just be not right now.
Right.
So it's not a no, you can't buy a home. It's just not right now. If you do XYZ, we'll definitely get you there. And we know it's not an overnight process. So we're going to be there when you have to address your fears and concerns along the way. So, man, I say that's a good, let's, we got to get into the bad. So the bad in the real estate market right now is still we got a lot of those in the last 7 days. We still are seeing those price reductions, man. And I feel
Hmm.
bad for sellers. They're going in thinking they're going to receive a certain amount back, and they got to lower that price, man. And it's due to the fear that's in the market and the
Yeah.
uncertainty. What would you say went bad in the lending this week?
Bad in lending. Let's see. Um, I mean, rates have kind of improved a little bit.
Hmm.
They were up earlier in the week, but they're getting a little bit better. Um, I would say, I don't know. I don't know what's bad. Well, okay, so this kind of ties in. I know we spoke about foreclosures a little bit last week. I think we touched on
Yes,
that.
yes, we
Um,
did.
I saw some stats and I don't have them in front of me. I don't want to speak untruthfully, but
Uh
I
huh.
believe that the foreclosure rate is actually going up.
Yes.
So, but it's not back up to pre-pandemic levels, if I remember correctly. So,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe we could bring some stats on that next week, but foreclosures are going up, which is bad because that means unfortunately some folks might lose their homes for one reason or the other.
Yeah, man, and we don't want to see that, man.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes another person's pain is someone else's pleasure, even unintentionally. Like
Mhm.
being able to grab a foreclosed property or a short sale at a reduced price for someone who's been struggling to find something that they could, be in a specific neighborhood, and all of a sudden that home pops up, man. That's
Mhm.
that's a good feeling, especially when you have an agent that's on top of the neighborhood, looking out for you.
Yeah.
So uh, one of the things that I'm seeing as well is an increase in inventory, man. I mean, just the change from June of 2022 to July of 2022, the homes that are for sale are up 14, a little over 14%, man. So that's a
Okay.
jump. Yeah. So that's more inventory. That's a good thing for that's that's not that's bad for a seller, not in the sense that it's horrible, but it just means you have more competition. So you
Right.
really you have more competition. That that's what's bad about it for a seller. What's good for the buyer is now you have more opportunity. You know, you have more inventory to houses to choose from, depending on the
Yeah.
neighborhood and the area that you're shopping in.
Yeah, definitely. Um, and like you said, inventory is getting a little bit better, but still, all in all, I mean, we nationwide, we don't have enough homes to meet the population demand, right?
Right.
Um, which is, it's still going to be a good seller's market, but it's going to be balanced, good for sellers and buyers.
Yeah, because even months of inventory went up. So throughout 2022, we were under a month
Yeah.
uh, so far, and it just jumped from March to July. We're at about 2.3 months worth of inventory, and
Okay.
for the yeah, so that once again, that's good for the buyers. More potentially more selections. What that means is that if in 2 months, if all the homes sold and not another one was put on the market, we would be done. Um, so they say a seller's market is 3 months and below.
Hmm.
So we're still kind of not in the buyer's market. We're kind of creeping more to, or it's forecast we may be in a neutral market from 3 to 6 months, because they say buyer's market, meaning where you can literally take advantage, kind of what we seen in 2008. That's the only time I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
And I've been licensed since '07. Is 6 months and more, 6 months or more inventory is
Yeah.
what they say.
Yep.
So that's still a bad. So let's get to the ugly, man. Let's wrap this up. Uh, I won't say a stat for ugly. I have 2 points to make for the ugly. One is, I'll quote Ryan again, the uncertainty, which is we're still eating that uncertainty salad.
Hmm.
And, I feel like buyers have FOMO going on, right? The fear of missing out, meaning
Yeah.
they're afraid potentially um, to make a move because they're may believe that home prices are continually going to drop, right?
Mhm.
So they're waiting for that to happen, while because they're the fear of missing out. Neither one of us has a crystal ball. That may be true, it may not be true. I mean, and man, you tell me, if home prices fall and interest rates rise, it may be you just lose out on the house that your potential dream home. So what I would say,
Mhm.
if you talk to a lender, find out where you are, what you can afford right now. If it makes sense, I would say move forward. Don't let FOMO get you.
Mhm. Yeah, and to kind of talk a little bit more about that, and what we talk about in the mortgage consultation is, um, the interest rate does affect affordability quite a bit. But honestly, with prices declining, if they did decline, there's a couple things. One, if you're trying to make a quick buck and flip a house
Mhm.
and have that be like a business, prices going down in the future is going to hurt you. But if you're looking at renting versus buying, and you plan on being in that house for 2, 3, 10, 15 years, even if prices soften and go down a little bit in the next year or two, historically, it's going to go back up, right? Just like the stock market, it goes like this,
Yeah.
but over time, it's always gone up. So, you know, I wish I had the chart with me right now. I don't. But if you looked at the housing drop in 2008, where
Hmm.
values really got hit and they went down
Yes.
like 20%,
Hmm.
if you bought that house at the top of 2008 and you kept it until today, you'd still be way, way up on equity.
Yes.
The problem
Yes.
during that time was the loans that people couldn't sustain. And then another thing I want to talk about too is renting versus buying. So a 30-year fixed mortgage is actually the number one thing you can do to fight inflation. So think about this. When you were renting, how many times did your rent go down? Right? When I was
Zero
renting,
goose egg.
yeah, I mean it goes up, maybe it doesn't go up a lot, maybe it stays the same, right? Rent for a couple years,
Hmm.
but in 30 years, guaranteed that's going to go up, the cost of living. So when you get a 30-year fixed mortgage, think about it. The cost of food's going up, the cost of gas is going up. If you lock in a 30-year fixed mortgage on a house today, it's fixed for 30 years. So your inflation's going like this and your mortgage is set. So
Yes.
there's no landlord to raise your rent. So I think that's a big picture thing that people don't always consider too. So
And let's touch on this because oftentimes we say that, and appreciation goes up and
mhm,
goes down. But one thing is for certain: if you're making your payment, you're still gaining equity because
mhm.
the loan amount is going down, right? That doesn't
Yeah, like I
happen when
said,
you're renting.
yeah, like I said, so I'm even if my house never goes up in value, there's two things. So let's say it never goes up, my payment never goes up. I'm still going to have a bunch of equity one day because I'm paying $800 a month.
Yes.
So I'm paying my own equity even if the value doesn't go up. Um, and I know in Sacramento County, values in the last 60 years on average have come up between 5 and 6%. So, you know, I don't encourage people to buy their first house to make a quick buck,
Right.
but it's a great place to live. And even if things go up and down, history shows us in the long term you will be up.
Yeah, man. And you know what? I remember when houses in Elk Grove were like, I mean, we say like they're there now, but in
Yeah,
'07, '08, I mean, people bought, it was 600,000 brand new. The bottom fell out. They went all the way down to two. Now they're back.
right.
They're back. So, um, yeah, it's definitely cyclical, and that's what we're here for, to keep an eye on the market. Ben, I want to thank you for joining us again today, man. And
Of course.
any last words for the viewers?
Man, just to wish everyone a great weekend and enjoy the rest of the summer. And if you have any questions for us, please reach out. We're here to help, and we love to see the people around us succeed. So enjoy the weekend.
Yes, sir. And remember, if you can't behave, be safe. All right, you guys.
Bye, Eric.
Bye, Ben.